What is up? This is your LA in a minute. And when Griffith Dickinson Compton led a group of 30 settling families down to this area from Stockton, California in 1867, he called the town Gibsonville. But by 1888, the city of Compton had become one of LA's first 8 municipalities. It's had a complex and layered history since then, so let's get into it. Now, everybody has an opinion about Compton, but there's a ton of history, both good and bad, so I'm going to make this a 2-part series. Let's get into part 1 about the hub city. Historically, the area known as Compton was populated by the native Tongvan and Gabrielino people. The area was first acknowledged by Spanish conquistadors in 1542, but by 1767, the Portola expedition included the area in its Provincia de las Californias. In 1784, the Spanish crown deeded the 75,000-acre Rancho San Pedro to soldier Juan Jose Dominguez, whose descendants sold off the land to newly arriving senators and eventually the Mexican government in 1828. The Dominguez name is still prominent in the area, including the Dominguez Rancho Adobe historical landmark. But back to Griffith Dickinson Compton. He led a group of 30 pioneers to the area in 1867. They were failed gold miners who were too late for the gold rush from Stockton, California, in search of a way to earn a living. As noted, the town was named Gibsonville for one of the tract owners and then eventually Comptonville. Comptonville was shortened to Compton in 1887 to avoid confusion with Camptonville in Yuba County. That year, the settlers decided to improve the local government and discuss incorporation for Compton. That year, Griffith D. Compton donated his land to incorporate and create the city of Compton, but he stipulated that a certain acreage be zoned solely for agricultural and be named Richland Farms. In the beginning of the 20th century, Compton developed as a middle-class suburb. The 1920s saw the opening of the Compton Airport, Junior College, and the new City Hall. Through the 1940s, Compton had a sizable Japanese population, but in 1942, President Roosevelt issued an executive order that removed all Japanese from their homes and put them in internment camps. Terrible. By 1950, less than 1% of Compton's population was non-white. That decade, the Supreme Court reversed redlining, and the first black families moved to the area. But as that happened, white people left Compton, and so did their businesses, stripping down the city's tax base. By 1970, Compton had become 65% African American. But the black population was still ignored by city officials, and in 1969, Douglas Dollarhide was the first black mayor of any metropolitan city in California. They followed up in 1973 by electing Doris Davis, the first black female mayor of any metropolitan American city. In the early 1970s, the city had one of the largest concentration of African Americans in the country, with over 65% of the population being black. It was a much sought-after suburb for the middle class of Los Angeles. What happened over the next 20 years put Compton on the map for all the wrong reasons, but this century has seen the hub city on the upswing. Find out in part 2. All right, LA, it's been a minute.